Okay, welcome, Monica. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing more about this incredible program that you created. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Megan, for inviting me. And thank you, Marin Community Foundation, for that. I wish I could be with you, but right now I'm in Norway, and so I cannot join you. But I know that this work will be impactful. What would you like me to highlight, Megan? Or should I just start?
Yeah, start by just telling us, who is this program for, and what kind of difference has it made in people? Impact.
So this program, because it sources the depth of a human being, is actually for anyone who wants to make a difference. I could be a CEO, I could be in the government, I could be in a business setting, I could be with a community foundation or a community organization or a consulting company. It doesn't matter what I do. What matters is, do I care enough to make a difference? And to me, we have like words like this is multi-sector, because it's for business, it's for citizens, it's for government. We have a word also called multi-level, which means that we could be working at any task, any job, and I could make a difference. And we also say it's multicultural. And why do we say multicultural? Because we've worked with these tools over 2 decades, and we have measurable results in every single culture on the planet, literally over 60 countries. And that evidence is what keeps me going, and most probably what keeps most of us going, right? So we say, we are able, I am able, not just we, I am able, I as each of us, am able to make a difference. Because one of the big questions everyone asked is, oh my God, the problems are so big. Poverty is such a huge issue. Unemployment is such a huge issue. Racism is such a huge issue. What can I do as a small individual? So we changed the narrative. Nobody is small in this work. Everybody has profound greatness within, because this essence of a human being is not linked to a degree. It's not linked to a level of engagement. So I would say the uniqueness of this leadership program is it doesn't target a level, or it doesn't design it for a level or a sector. It is designed for a human being who cares. So I would say it's for a CEO, it's for a grassroots worker, it's for a consultant. Yeah. And, I was thinking of another dimension. This knowing that I can make a difference is linked to very concrete tools and templates. Now, I don't want to get into the detail of that, Megan, but it's just like to give you a sense of what this is. Now, as human beings, we are told that most of our thoughts we are not aware of. We have background conversations. That's a normal thing, but we don't notice it. And when we don't notice it and we are not aware of it, we cannot transcend it. So a very practical tool is, how do I transcend my background conversations? And then how do I create new social narratives that challenge the status quo of what's going on? So for me, something like that, or something like the design template, this is very focused on design. In a way, all of us design our lives, what we do at home, what we do in our job. So for us, it's very important to learn simple, not simplistic, simple design tools. So we will learn how to manifest what we care about through learning design tools. And one such is, like we say, it's a conscious full spectrum response model. And what is that? It's very simple, really. It's knowing what I care about. It's activating how I think and saying, oh, I want to shift this system. I find that the system that is designed for labor is not equitable. I want to work on the rules of the game. Or even more important, I think, is at home and our society and culture. So in our culture, we have a lot of narratives. A very common narrative is stereotyping people. You know, those people are lazy. Those people are ineffective or don't have income because they're lazy. A very common narrative. How do I transcend that? Because I care, you know? So to me, the tools, the synergistic operational strategies, you know, we just need to have simple tools that address complexity, because whatever we work on, Megan, is actually a complex issue. Take poverty, take employment, take racism, take early childhood care, take health, take mental health. You know, so yeah. What did you find interesting, Megan?
Well, you know, there's over, I think, 41 tools in our session, and each one adds an aspect of creating that conscious full spectrum response, how to navigate challenges, how to navigate polarization and transcend that, how to generate new conversations and new narratives. So each tool brings such an important aspect of the whole of creating true, sustainable, and equitable change.
Right. And, you know, the reason why we insist that everybody comes for all the sessions is because the tools are sequenced in a way that I learn, and I learn to practice, and I learn in a way that I can apply it right away. Now, if I don't know the previous one, then somehow I'm lost a little. So it's very important that we engage in a way that's unique to each of us, and yet we move together. So this work is about manifesting what's unique in me, but working together to create the impact we need, the collective impact we must have. You know, a couple of other thoughts come to mind, Megan. You know, I've been pondering, what are the questions that people are asking? And I find that there are two questions that everyone is asking. So the first question, whether I'm a citizen, it doesn't matter. I could be a donor or a foundation. I could be in government or civil society or a politician, or, you know, I could be in business. And the first question is, we've invested a lot in projects. What is it that we are unable to generate? The system that creates the change so that it's sustainable and equitable. You know, I mean, as surveys show, somewhere deep down, we all care about fairness, which is, you know, in society, it's equity. So the question really is, everyone's asking, what will it take for us to learn and design ways in which we build the ecosystem of change, rather than just the, you know, the just one project after another. I'm, you know, I say projectitis. We keep having, and all well thought through projects. And yet, once it's gone, the impact doesn't remain, the outcomes are not there. And so what will it take to generate the ecosystem of change? And everyone is talking about systems and cultural change today. In fact, there are, I just saw an ad from it was for a job, a global job with the Red Cross. And they were hiring a systems change person. How great is that? That there is that thought about systems change. So that is one thing that I think is very powerful about this work, that it's about not just looking at a project, but looking at the project in a way that generates the ecosystem of change.
And it doesn't matter how big that project is or at what scale you plan for that project to be, right? We talk about not the size of the project, but how strategic is it?
Yes, and we actually, we rest this knowing in a word from physics, which is fractal, which is pattern. So what we've now learned from nature, from the world, that there are patterns we set up, whether that patterns at home or with an individual or in society, it's the same pattern that sort of, pervades society, pervades different sectors. And we use the word fractal. And the fractal is very simple. It's a simple pattern. The pattern is being able to work on what I deeply care about, my values, my universal values that apply to everyone, my ability and competence to be able to shift rules of the game and norms in society and do something. And that something needs to be specific. It doesn't have to be huge. It has to be specific. So we move from the word small to specific, then everybody is part of a global movement for equity, because then we go to scale, and that's how it happens. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, and then the last piece I really want to share, Megan, is that today, unlike 50 years ago, what was local, what was global, but there are some processes that have been put in place. Social media, our connectivity, the internet creates the possibility of sharing in a way that we've never shared before. The second thing is globalization has a lot of limits, but it did do one thing. It sort of created the backdrop of what matters in some ways, what should have mattered. But at least the construct of globalization was about the fact that we are one Earth. And when you look at a lot of the agreements that have been made globally, whether that's related to climate change or that's related to human rights, are no longer only local. They are local action, strategies that are national and local, and it creates global change. So for me, what's local is global. What's global has to be local today. And when that is the case, every citizen matters. And, at one level, Megan, we are all citizens. We may have a job, but we also have a role in society, right? So I think I've always looked at Marin, because there was Marin County and the work that, the Marin Community Foundation started, Barbara, Jonathan, and now Ria. What you have brought in, Megan, with Robin and Shebre. And I just see every breakthrough initiative that is conscious full spectrum. That means it sources values, shifts a pattern, has action for results. Then that becomes almost like an icon. So what is it an icon of? I think Marin is the icon of what a citizen is, through the breakthrough projects. I think Marin the work in Marin that you're doing is an icon of partnership between a ethical consulting company like yours and Marin Community Foundation. To me, Marin Community Foundation is an icon of what all foundations could be. To me, it's a global icon of partnership, because what happens locally is relevant in every part of the world. It may not be that the cultural dimensions are the same, but human beings have the same deep characteristics. We have an essence that's beautiful. We want to belong. We care. We want to make a difference. And then somewhere along our life's journey, it may have got a little derailed. So tapping into that local energy and icon and creating that icon is, for me, so important. And the good news is you don't need everybody to change. What happens is that even if 10% of a group shifts, something happens in the chemistry of relationships, in the alchemy of change, that it just moves and ripples out. Right? What would you like to say, Megan?
I just reflecting on how many alumni we now have of this program in Marin, well over 300 now, and the sort of tipping point that we are nearing for so many initiatives and collaboratives, the stories we've heard across partnerships in Marin of how they're working together differently within organizations, with each other, and the ripple effect it's already having. So the fact that we get to meet soon another probably 100 alumni and help really generate that tipping point is very exciting.
Yeah, I think you've brought in two points around partnering. One is the tipping point, but the other one, Megan, is creating a new field, And so there are some characteristics of individuals and agencies and partners that I have found very useful in my work, and people find useful in every culture. So what are they? I mean, the first thing for me is that there is demonstrated capacity to generate results, that it's a results orientation. It's not just thinking, it's based on results. The second dimension, which is so profound in our conversations, it's like, what Policy Link puts forward, worldwide people are talking about, Marin County speaks about that, the foundation speaks about that, is equity, this whole space of justice, equity, fairness, knowing that we actually live in a world of abundance. And like Gandhi said, we have everything and more for our needs. We just don't have enough for everyone's greed or people's greed. So we have a lot of abundance. And I think tapping into that space. There's a third thing that is emerging in Marin and in other places where I work, whether that's Norway or other spaces. It's this, the whole fostering of other people's leadership. And in fact, McKinsey had a very, the consulting company always talked about everybody needs the skill to lead, because leadership means creating a new future. But everyone also needs to be able to follow and support others who are leading change. And I think this ability to foster leadership in others, there are people who say, you know, a leader is a person around whom other leaders grow. I think that is very, very important. The ability to renew one's learning, to know that I have questions rather than a series of answers, like Einstein said, huh? A real good question is a true advance in science, because then we start exploring something else. And so, you know, the openness to renew, the openness to learn, the joy of learning, because there's an adventure in that, you know, instead of same old, same old, same old. Yeah, so yes, that's a very important dimension. And then the last but not least is most of strategy worldwide does not include the most important dimension of change, of equitable change, and that is the human being and the human being's commitment. And so this work is about bringing forth that commitment to what we care about. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. It was an incredible preview of what's to come in the program and an overview. So just thank you again for joining us. I know you can't be here on the day of, but enjoy Norway and say hello to all of our fellow change makers there. And thanks again.
Yeah, let's say more than enjoy it. It is the joy of learning,
yes,
because it's a stage one.
Yes.
So we are at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The joy of confusion and struggle and challenge, and yet such a deep, fulfilling process.
Yes.
And profound. Yeah.
The adventure.
The
All
adventure
right,
of
Megan,
learning.
have a great session.
Thank
And
you. Thank you, Monica.
Bye.